Hey everyone, and welcome back to another round of Mom Q&A with Mamas Uncut, where we answer your anonymous questions about motherhood, parenting, relationships, and so much more. Again, we got Lisa and Mindy. You guys ready to answer some questions?
Yep.
All right. What are your thoughts on midwives? Going on my third pregnancy, and I want to do things differently.
My thoughts on midwives. I know lots of people that have used midwives and have very good experiences.
Yeah.
I've heard of a couple really bad experiences, but that's not to say that it's the midwife or not. You know what I mean? Childbirth is fraught with difficulty.
Yeah.
So here's my take on it.
Definitely a new experience with the midwife, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole reason, I know that hospitals aren't ideal to give birth in. They're not as comfortable. They're not as accommodating. They have rules that you have to follow. But my main thing and the reason why I had all my children in the hospital is because I always want a NICU to be right there because I don't want to mess around with things when it's a crazy experience.
Can't you have a midwife in the hospital?
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people choose, a lot of them do birthing centers though, which I've known people that have had great experiences. Yeah. That's just my personal take on it. I know that there's a lot of people that are very pro midwife and that's
why I wanted to bring up this question, because the way I was reading it sounded to me like she was giving herself an ultimatum. Like I either go to the hospital or I have a midwife. And I was you can do both. Like if you're looking for some extra coaching, leading up to the birth is like a really, when you guys like really bond with a midwife. So, I mean, if you're looking for something like that, then I mean, I think you can do both. Or, it
doesn't have to be like a home birth.
Right.
With a midwife. You're totally right. There's a spectrum of ways. I think the main thing is that if you, a lot of people don't really love their OB doctors or whoever they're going to see for their prenatal care, and you can switch.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You call, you figure it out, switch to somebody else if you do not feel comfortable, because if you don't have a good relationship with your OB or your midwife or whoever is delivering the baby, that's not ideal. And I've been in both situations, and it's so much better when you can communicate and be open.
I also like the idea of a midwife in that there's so many things, what makes doctors and midwives different in this instance. And I think one of the most, something could happen to the doctor where emergency pulls them away and you're, ready to give birth. And now the person that you spent your whole 9 months with, they're nowhere to be found, where I think like a midwife kind of gives you that like familiar face as well, who like knows the medical ins and outs of like what you're about to go through. So, I mean, I like the idea of having both an OB and a midwife, and like able to have like two people to bounce ideas off of, and at least one is going to be there when you do actually give birth. So, I mean, that's a thought too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't like the demonizing of either of them, right?
No.
I think obstetricians are very important. I think midwives can also be very helpful and very important to people that want them. So I hate when people are like, oh, don't go to OBs, don't go to, because it's like, it's really what you feel most comfortable with, because at the end of the day, you are the one that's giving birth.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue for me is, and it's a very simple one, do I have to like experience the entire pain in order to get the full experience? And my answer was always no.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
this kid for another 18 years, I don't need to feel it coming out.
Yeah. Again, there's a whole spectrum of things. You can do all sorts of things, but I think at the end of the day, what's really funny is I think a lot of first-time moms go into giving birth and they have a plan. Birth plans are very popular, and they almost never turn out.
The kid does what it wants.
Yeah, it's all very unpredictable, and it's you just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. You don't know how you're going to feel too. I've known people that have been very pro, like, I'm not having any sort of medicine or whatever, and they were begging for medicine after a while.
Yeah.
And I've also known people that are like, give me the medicine. And then they have a baby really quickly, naturally. And they're like, oh, okay. It's just so unpredictable. It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, it's that. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I also think too, like if some people are equating midwives with like water births, don't some hospitals offer water births too?
Yeah.
Like you still give birth in the water and have like all of the medical needs around you. Just
there's lots of tubs and birthing rooms now in hospitals.
Yeah. Which would creep me out, but
not really.
I mean,
I need a second.
Giving birth in a tub that someone else gave birth in, but
not only that, I'm like, I just feel bad about everything that's happening here. I don't want anything.
Like, I think there needs to be better resources for first-time moms about
for sure
what happens when you're in that room.
Yes.
It was hands down about the most humiliating experience I have ever, like, there was, it is impossible unless I'm a real a-hole in a situation for me to ever feel shame on anything after having people watch me have humans exit my body.
Yeah.
I had hit rock bottom. There was just there was nothing.
That didn't happen with me because I had some infertility stuff before I even had the baby. So I was like, come in. Join me, my people. Who wants to learn? You want to learn something? Come on in.
Don't forget to send us over your questions so we can answer them here. Bye.